something to talk about. I am dreaming of a gay Christmas. Do 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 do. If you grew up with white boys who only look like in Puerto Rican porno because that's something that their dad don't got, then you know where you're at. Mortaring your ear holes shut in a rush with wet coke in a Starbucks bathroom with the door closed and boozed. I'm left in residue and confused. A new follower. I wonder how many people are watching. I can never tell. Someone told me the follower count thing is broken. Sound off if it sounds okay. I'm listening to myself, so sorry. Okay. What does this do? Okay. Sunday evening. Yeah, just gonna that specifically about doing some sort of ideological test. Uh, so I thought I'd go ahead and do that if people cared. Um, you know. So how's everyone doing? Tell me in the chat if you're doing well. I know some of you are sitting there. But I was also thinking this could be some sort of a Q&A. Sorry, I was talking to somebody on Twitter. So West. So I'm always a little nervous about that. I did this basically just because you asked for it. I mean, really, I'm a woman of the people. All I'm trying to do. Um, all I'm trying to do is, do something people want to watch. So if somebody wants to watch this, I am having fun. Yeah. Things have been going on this week. Not really much to speak of. Did everyone have a good Thanksgiving? I I was bad. I did the bad like anti-liberal thing, and I saw some friends for Thanksgiving. People I had seen uh anyway, like the week before. Uh, my bubble, as they say. Getting drunk on Zoom is fun. Um, oh wait, this is named something wrong. It's not vinyl collection. Let's see. What do you call ideology test? Let's talk about communism. Sorry, change the name of this stream. Where are you, King Teef? Where is here? Um, Thanksgiving is an American thing that is stupid. Nobody really thinks that it's a good idea. It seems really racist and bad. Oh God, Denmark. Okay, interesting. We don't. Most people aren't like, yeah. well, I don't know. They pardon the turkey, stuff like that. But I think for most people, we're to get together with people. We have no other transactional benefit into being with family or friends, and so we do that, and it's nice to go see your friends and family. But I also went upstate, uh but yeah, I think the rules apply to you depending on where your address is. The state, like if your city rules say that you're not allowed to just buy a handgun without a permit, or you can't just get permitted in a city where you don't live. It's very confusing. And the worst thing uh, is somebody named, I don't know if you know who this is, but there's a man who's sort of a liberal gay icon named Dan Savage. And he calls Halloween straight people pride parade, which I think is fairly true. Halloween is where it's just an excuse to, you know, it's like Topsy Turvy Day where you get to be a slut. You get to admit that you want to fuck, and you dress like you want to fuck. It's like you ever seen that movie Rules of Attraction by Roger Avery? It's like that, where they have the dress to be fucked party. Not a political party, but regular party. Anyway, let's go ahead and do this little test that people or Mr. Teef wanted me to do. Let's see how it goes. And we'll just talk about how bad the questions are. I mean, no, first of all, no diss to King Teef, but I'm assuming that this will be very bad. I've never done one of these where I don't consider the questions inherently anti-communist. That's always been the case as far as I can tell. So, and I'll tell you why. Let's see. Should we read it? Should I kind of political quiz that attempts to assign percentages for 8 different political values. You'll be presented, okay, equality, markets, nation, globe, liberty, authority, tradition, and progress. Who made this? What is it? Just some random person, or who is it? They're called. It's like an organization or something. Genora. MIT. Are you for real? Spook country. Where did this come from? It's designed fairly well. Oh my god. Oh no. Be quiet. Shut up.
Values are the guiding principles by which we...
I don't think this isn't it. This is something else. Whatever. I'm sure it feels like spook shit. IDR Labs. Who community developed? Which community? Where? Does anybody know? Terms of service. Yeah, I don't. I think it's just some freaks at MIT. That's what I'm getting. Let's see what happens. You'll be presented with a series of statements for each one. Click the button with your opinion on it. Okay, got it. Reforming capitalist society to achievable right to achieve better rights for workers is desirable. I'm going to strongly disagree with this. Um, honestly, I, I guess I'm going to regular disagree with this because um, no, that's the one I'm on. Leftvalues.github.io. Yeah, it's this one. Um, so this is sort of difficult because, I think that a revolutionary party should be winning, right? Like there should be things that you need, things that the workers need that the party is able to get. And sometimes those things are going to be uh those things are going to be um sort of reformist in nature, in the sense of, oh, we want better wages, we want better conditions, changing people's material needs is sometimes going to be fall under the umbrella of reformism. Uh, so the goal should always be to be ending capitalism. And if the like for whatever, healthcare for all, Medicare for all, right? That's um, reform, right? Like, and that's not changing anybody's relationship to the means of production. It just means that poor people aren't dying, and saving people's lives is. So I would say that any sort of, vanguard party, revolutionary party, would be totally well within their to to fight for, healthcare, or provide it themselves if that was even possible. But as an end in itself, it is not desirable. Reforming capitalist society to achieve rights, right? You know what I mean? Like rights for workers. Like they don't have any rights. They might have better conditions, but they won't have better. They will never have any rights until they are, you know, able to uh, determine their own. Until they are a dictatorship of the proletariat. So I'm going to disagree on this. Regular disagree. Revolution is the best way of achieving a socialist society, obviously. I mean, what other way? I mean, this is a stupid question because um because in some dreamland, somebody got elected the Democratic president and ended capital revolution, like changing. I think they mean violent revolution, like a war or something. Um, but there's no need here to like differentiate. A revolution is a revolution. It's the only way. I mean, it is by necessity having a socialist society. The negative consequences of a revolution generally outweigh the advantages. What negative consequences? And see, this is the kind of like loaded question that I'm always suspicious of with this kind of thing, because it's like, what negative consequences? What are we talking about? And you just like agree or disagree. Like, well, are you talking? Are you talking about something made up? Are you talking about something real? Like, what? What are we talking about here? So I'll, of course, disagree. Liberal democracy is a viable way of achieving a socialist society. Uh, I mean, I think like orthodox Marxists, uh, you know, would say that have to, um, you would have to go through liberal democracy to make the conditions for socialism. And obviously, most people don't. And Marx would probably change his mind. People understood that after the Russian Revolution and after a lot of different, peasant revolutions and um, third world revolutions, that's not the case. Um, but is it a viable way of a changed, right? Like liberal democracy is not parliamentary, capitalist by default democracy, right? Liberal democracy we're talking about neoliberal democracy. Maybe. Um, Modern day neoliberal techno feudalism. No, absolutely not. So I don't really know. I guess technically yes. So we'll go technically yes. Who is Kyle Kulinski? And why am I owning him by taking this test? uh, please answer me. Thank you for watching. A socialist revolution is made inevitable by the conditions of capitalism. People will get mad because this sounds teleological, as in, it's going to happen and there's no way it will never happen. So, I mean, no, I guess, but like, also yes, like I do think that capitalism cannot hold um, forever without pressure. Um, it is a system of oppression, and they say conditions, but I think they mean contradictions. So a ding dong sock dem. Uh, what did he prove? I'd like to. Should we watch him? Should we watch it after? Let me know. A socialist revolution is made inevitable by the conditions of capital. I mean, not really. I mean, I don't. I'm gonna go neutral. Workplace democracy within capitalism is an acceptable alternative to a complete socialization of the economy. Workplace democracy within capitalism is an acceptable alternative to a complete socialization of the economy. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Workplace capitalism? What the hell are you talking about? I don't even know what this means. I workplace democracy within capitalism. I mean, to me, this just sounds like labor union, like trade unionism, right? Like it's like, who are you going to exploit then if you have workplace democracy? Man, I wish there was someone here to like who had really bad opinions to like explain this kind of shit to me. Like, what do they think? Co-ops. What about co-ops? What? But who profits? Everybody profits. Who's being exploited? How do you profit without exploitation? You can't. It's not a real thing. I know. I disagree. um, like I think people have this weird thought that like if every single thing was co-ops, everything would be exactly the same except workers wouldn't be exploited, and that's just like absurd to me. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why would Uber exist? Like, if there was workplace democracy, then you would just would stop existing. You know what I mean? Like movies don't exist, cars don't exist, or maybe cars exist, but in a much like labor. And let's make railroads. Let's make bullet trains. Let's do all the things we want to do as a society. You can't like there has to be somebody directing capitalism. There has to be a ruling class for capitalism. If there isn't, then it's not capitalism. And this stuff wouldn't exist. People aren't going to fucking oppress themselves, aren't going to exploit themselves. Why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense. I disagree. Revolutionary violence is acceptable as long as the final outcome is possible. Of course. Of course. I mean, well, shut up. If you even think about it. Of course it is. Redistributing wealth away from the wealthy through taxes is a viable way of defeating inequality. Man, this is making me mad. Defeating inequality? Sure. I'm gonna agree with this just because, you know, if you make capitalism illegal and you tax away, you fine or tax or whatever you want to say away everybody's, accumulated wealth, then sure, but it's not just taxes, obviously. Modern social democracy is a betrayal of left-wing values. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, modern social democracy is just liberalism. Social democracy isn't real. I mean, it's sort of social democracy is crony capitalism thought, right? You know what I mean? It just means like if you were nice and you made it illegal to exploit people too bad, then it's fine. Which it isn't. So yeah, I agree. Oppressed peoples have the right to engage in a violent uprising when all other options have been exhausted. I strongly agree, and I also don't think you need to exhaust any other options. This kind of mealy mouth bullshit pisses me off. This destruction, such as factories and farms, must be publicly owned. Yeah, obviously. Material conditions and needs are the dominant drive behind socio-economic changes. What else would they be? Socialism can only be fully achieved in developed industrialized societies. No, we know that's absolutely false. What the fuck? What the fuck was the Soviet Union? Come on now. Someone stop me if I say something wildly wrong or something. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs is a good principle. Sure, I like Marx. Is it possible to peacefully convince the ruling class to conform to a socialist society? No. No. Capitalism will introduce its own demise through contradictions that result in crisis. See, this wording kind of implies that it'll just happen. Capitalism will commit seppuku or something, and then we'll just wake up one whether they're insane, brain poisoned QAnon people who think that that Trump is going to kill Hillary Clinton in the Rose Garden with a Beretta or whatever, or that you're communist. Like, the most people just don't think the government is good. The vast majority of people don't think that the government is good and don't think that you should have one or or that we should need to do something. Or they just don't pay attention because they don't think they can do anything about it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's gotten to that point where people want to do something. So I guess if you include like the post-fascist wave of saving capitalism through barbarism, militarism, fascism, then sure, I'll agree with that. But doesn't mean that socialism will come without doing anything. Class conflict is a force that has influenced much of human history. Yeah. Duh. The establishment of socialism is a gradual process rather than an instant or rapid one. Eh, who knows? Who cares? It can be, I mean, it can be one or the other. I mean, it depends. It depends. Society is chiefly driven by individual ideas. What the fuck does that mean? Individuals and ideas. No, no. Total economic and societal equality is realistically possible to achieve. Yeah, of course. Why would I be a communist otherwise? An economy is generally designed better when it is organized bottom up rather than top down. This is capitalism. All right. I'm going to say no. Local planners rather than national planners are more efficient at running a planned economy. Yeah. No, no. Well, I don't. I think. See, this is the kind of stuff that makes me feel like it's intentionally divisive. Um, you know what I mean? I'm checking on the stream. Um, I feel like this is intentionally divisive because it's like you would have to have a conversation. And the rev, right? Like, even if you're a communist or a communist revolutionary party, um, and you take over and you are the state now. And by Lenin's definition, the state is an organization that suppresses a class. Currently, our state, America's state, and most other states, suppresses the working class. A communist state suppresses the bourgeois class. Um, really sorry about that. What can I do about it? Mm, I don't really know what to do about that. So sorry. Uh, is it really bad? Like, should I reset my router or something? I think I have to wait like a full minute before the latency catches up. Um, let's see, when I do this. There you go. Okay, so I don't know. It is working for me. Uh, I'm sorry. Um, if anyone knows what to do about that, I can't plug into my router. It's upstairs. Um, I guess I could go upstairs, but I don't usually. Okay. Oh, what was it? What I was saying was that this is purposefully divisive because it implies that a national planner has no like communication with the local planners, and aren't taking those things into consideration and aren't taking the needs of the workers at the local level into consideration, and that's like not how you're supposed to do it. Or that I guess I don't believe that that is necessarily what will happen, um, especially now that there's such communication possible. We have email. We have, like if people need something, they will tell people. Sure, it wasn't the easiest thing to do when you had only letters and, your country was huge. But you know, I don't think that this is this isn't an either or thing. You can't even say yes or no because the in my opinion, uh, they're the same thing. Like there has to be a hierarchy of command. Local planners are important to be referenced on the local level, and national needs to understand like what the needs of every local, and everyone needs to be talking to each other. So I'm going to say disagree. A centrally planned economy based around computers is a concept worth investigating. I don't know what this means. I hope they don't mean like AI, like to I mean, maybe you could use algorithms to sort of make sure everyone's fed correctly and has enough food and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know. Maybe. Sure. Yeah. But, it's not like people are computers are just a tool. But I don't think we would want to get rid of them. They're a great tool. In underdeveloped societies, a centrally planned economy is the best way to make rapid progress in every economy. The principles of workplace democracy and self-management are desirable. Uh, Principles of workplace democracy and self-management are desirable. I don't know. I don't even really know what that means, but it sounds fine. Self-management sounds like some weird, like HR speech for like. So I don't know. It sounds bad. So don't know what it is. I'm gonna go neutral. The state can be best defined as a monopoly on violence and oppression. What? No, I disagree. I mean, I think that I agree with Lenin. I think that his definition of the state as a organization that oppresses a class um, is good. This kind of makes it seem like violence and oppression. That what is it? A monopoly? This is insane. This is an insane thing to say. I gotta say. A highly centralized planned economy is not socialism, but rather state capitalism. State capitalism. What does that mean? This is the state capitalism. I think is a very unfortunate and misunderstood phrase. I know that. I know that Lenin himself used the phrase. Supposedly. But I think I don't know. Lenin was talking about state capitalism as like imperialist monopolist capitalism. He wasn't talking about socialism. State socialism is the opposite of state capitalism. The idea of Richard Wolff saying like, "Oh, it's insane," because it like completely disregards the workers' relationship to the means of production. It completely is, like it implies that the state, the Soviet state, has no interest in meeting the demands and the expectations of the workers. And it also totally I was just thinking about this today, actually, the concept of state capitalism. It totally ignores the material reality of what it means for the workers to not be exploited. Because if you have if you have workers who are absolutely able to strike at any time and just stop the production of the state, they're in control, right? Like, what it's implying here is that the state is exploiting the worker. But the concept of communism is that the state protects and is controlled by the workers. And so if you don't think that that's what the Soviet Union had, a state controlled by the workers, then fine, we can argue about history, which I'm sorry, but they did. The communist state was the Soviets were communist. That's, for whatever reason, by the worst freaks on the internet, that is somehow a fucking insane thing to say. But the Soviet Union was not fucking capitalist. If they were fucking capitalist, why do you think every capitalist state was trying to murder them? And why do you think that after Khrushchev, they became more and more like liberal and, taking, trying to push themselves into capitalism? Like, it had to change and it had to dissolve and it had to get to Gorbachev through CIA influence and undermining. Um, Fucking nuts. Um, I don't know. So no, a fucking no. Um, it just completely deludes and how and misunderstands what the material structure of socialism is, which is you can't just exploit the workers and profit off of them and not get like it wouldn't work because you don't have that relation. They have a different relationship to the means of production now. Otherwise, it's not socialism. So, strongly disagree. Bureaucracy and inefficiency are always inherent in centrally planned economies. Fuck you. Fuck you. It is necessary to establish a dictatorship of the proletariat as a transitionary stage between capitalism and socialism. Yeah. I mean, sure. If you want to get into this whole argument about like, well, it's not socialism yet because we're in a transition. Whatever, fuck it. Whatever. Is capitalism over? Then it's fucking socialism. I mean, I don't care. What are we talking about? Like, if you've created a situation where the workers are no longer being exploited, then we're probably not in capitalism anymore. I mean, like, it's not the Marxist like utopian ideal of fucking like class completely going away. I mean I feel like I don't the thing I don't understand about this is how do you know when class is gone? Like when they're like our clique, like when is power completely removed? I don't know. I'm not gonna get into this right now. But sure, I'll say yeah. The government should be capable of assigning individuals to workplaces. What do you mean? Of course. If they want to work. I mean, they don't have to work. Sometimes they have to work. Sure. A world socialist republic is a realistic and desirable goal. Absolutely. Nationalism and patriotism are impulses that are unacceptable in a socialist society. No. There's been a lot of talk about the word nationalism recently. Uh, and and I think that there's a bit of a bad faith here, because nationalism implies a lot of things nowadays. Um, are we talking about? Because if you look up nationalism, like on Google, it says that nationalism is like protectionary, like politics, generally to the detriment of other nations, right? So nationalism nowadays, especially under neoliberal rule, like necessarily means imperialism. Necessarily means uh, brutalizing immigrants, creating strict rules around an in-group of citizenry, and then an oppression of non-citizens. Um, so obviously those things are bad. Um, but but nationalism, if you're just talking about patriotism, which is loving your country, patriotism is great. If the country is good, you definitely want your people to be patriots, right? You want to be like, yeah, we fucking love our team. Our team is sick. Um, it's awesome. Uh, and nationalism, in terms of not meddling in other countries, not trying to exploit other countries, uh, and not doing business with evil countries is great. It's good. Don't do, you should absolutely not do that. Um, so if that's nationalism, then I don't see why you would have a problem with it. I think the problem is that people use this same word for, like I said, exploitation of non-citizens, oppression of non-citizens, violence against working class people who are just not citizens. And that suspicion can obviously especially in the imperial core, uh, is generally bad. Um, and shouldn't be. But I don't think that patriotism um, are bad ever. Or I mean, under in a socialist society. Um, how's the stream, King Teef especially? Is it still stopping, or are we doing better? I'm looking at it on my phone and it seems better. Um, so I'm gonna say disagree with the caveat, and please hear me, that the borders in a socialist society should not be policed, and we need to be vigilant of like if somehow some sort of imperialist bourgeois capitalist society was still at our throats and trying to send CIA MI6 type people over. um we have to have mechanisms to stop enemies. Don't be weak. We have to be strong. We have to protect ourselves. Um, but I'm not saying that there should be pogroms for non-Americans in a socialist America. Like, no one's talking about that. And I think if they are, they're not socialists. So I'm gonna go strongly disagree. The global socialist, and this is the thing, is that this is why, uh, you know, you get like Nazbol conversations, because nation, like this sort of like national socialist idea, was so it's a fascist idea, right? That it's the idea that there is a nation of a racial nation of race, or a that blood is what makes you part of the nation, and that's obviously not true. Um, and especially nowadays, the idea that there is, you know, um, any need for this sort of like, well, you're not from here, you weren't born here, and so we can't help you, or we won't take refugees, is just so not. It's just false. It's not necessary. Um, we don't help them, and we won't help them because of capitalism, because we don't give handouts to even our people. We don't take care of our veterans. We don't take care of our old people. We don't take care of anybody. We don't give a shit about anybody. So, blaming, refugees or migrants on, like, that's not what nationalism is. Like, that's just creating another scapegoat, in the same way racism isn't nationalism. It's just racism. It's just oppression of a working class. um so yeah, we have to be clear on what we're saying. I'm not a Nazbol. I don't think that you should close all your borders and, only whites or only people who are already born here. Like, the idea of where you're born doesn't matter. What matters is your class character and how this is. Thank you to whoever just followed or whatever. Augusta, thank you for following. The global socialist movement should be led by a single party or organization. Yeah, well. I mean, I don't know what that means. I don't think that's possible. I mean, like, we would all have to get together. I mean, I eventually it would all be a single party, right? Like, as a whole, like, we're all global communists. But like, this is uh, fanciful. It's we're talking about a situation that we're not even close to having. So I mean, sure, I agree, but I mean, it's not gonna you'd have to have multiple decades long revolutions. Foreign officials have no right to dictate policy in another country. See, this is trick. They're trying to trick you here. I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like this is specifically trying to get at uh the Soviets, right? They're trying to poke at Soviet history. Um, and a lot of these times, generally the CIA and the MI6, um, after the World War II, had Gladio operations, had color revolutionaries, were funding like Hungary, like um, a different country is already to capitalist argument. Oh, I think it froze. Okay, we stopped freezing. Um, it's already buying into a capitalist argument that they weren't a part of the Soviet Union. So be careful with this question, um, because people like to frame the Soviet Union under Stalin as imperialist, which is absurd, uh, because it um, and even I think Chinese people, the Chinese government, uh, I don't know if they're. It seems like they're kind of doing imperialist shit because they're a kind of partially capitalist country, or not, if not majorly capitalist, with like socialist characteristics or reforms. But even that, like, the character of it doesn't, you know dictating policy isn't exactly what they're doing. So it kind of depends. I would say I kind of disagree because here let's be hypothetical, right? Like, if you have a communist country, um, I think it is okay to support uprisings in other countries. Um, and arm them and educate them. The vanguard party, the Communist Party of any country. I would love. See, this is the thing, and Matt said this on the stream when we did the stream. Also, I'm gonna upload some of these streams to YouTube, I think. Um, but I would totally support China if they fucking did that to us. Why aren't they sending us checks? They're a huge global superpower. Why isn't it's literally my podcast, their podcast, Chapo, Rev Left Radio, why aren't they funding communist uprisings and media in America? Um, it's not like they're gonna get better press for not doing that, right? So it's like, I think a real communist party absolutely should be doing that. Is that dictating policy? No, I don't think so. But I would love it if they did. If the DPRK, I mean, the DPRK isn't in a place particularly to do that, but Cuba could be doing some of that. They're also poor, but China absolutely should be. And they're sort of, China has definitely worked with Cuba and the DPRK, and definitely Vietnam. Um, so cooperation, yes. Um, and fomenting revolution, also yes. So if you consider that dictating policy, I'll go ahead and disagree. Open borders between like-minded socialist country is desirable. Hell yeah, it's desirable. Open borders, as a buzzword and a word that's sort of causing arguments, um, relies on the sort of like workers, right? So if you don't have it, and then who gives a shit? Why would you not want to go? We should all want to be like a a federation of states, right? Um, and if we all have the same sort of ideology, of course we want to open borders. The only argument against open borders is that there's like you're just chucking them into the fodder of a capitalist system, which even that is sort of, to what end are you against it? Like, are you supporting deportation? Um, to which I would say, if that's your argument, then that's probably bad. You shouldn't be supporting that. Um, but if you're saying we should, I don't know, um, I don't even really know what the argument there is, because it seems like people just wanted to like defend Bernie Sanders for saying that it was a Koch brothers plot, and people were like, "Oh, it was a Koch brothers plot." Yeah, it's a liberal thing, but it's like, okay, but as long as we're not saying that they should, support, the camps or something, uh, having some sort of like regular path to citizenship, that it like I think there's absolutely a way to have protection. This is the thing, is that what we should have in America, or the reform of the border, is not to open the borders and allow people to have their labor exploited for nothing. There should just be a very, like, I'm watching this on my phone. I'm watching this on my phone as well. How do you it says it's good, but it's okay. It froze for a while. Yeah. Um I'm watching it on my phone as well, and it seemed to kind of have frozen. Um Whoopsie. Um so let me know if it's back. Fuck. Sorry about that. Wait, did I close it? Oh no, it's right here. Okay. Sorry about that. Think we're back. Let me know. Um what I was saying is that it's delicate, and I do think that there is something to the argument that allowing people to come in and work for pennies, and then, returning back to their homes, is a bad system. Being exploited for no reason, uh, or even more intensely to profit for corporations, is bad. But that doesn't mean we should support, the jerk control, obviously. Um, it's just nuanced, and it means that, or open borders as like a Koch brothers concept. Just let anybody come in. Don't worry about it. Don't give them any rights. Don't give them any protections. But just let anybody. Um, Sorry about the freezing. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna say, of course, any socialist country should be dedicated to exporting their ideology abroad. Yeah, I just said that. People of similar cultures should unite in federations or confederations. I also said that. And wait. Similar cultures? I don't know what that means. That sounds a little bit like you're being racial. This is the thing. People who create these kinds of things are so deeply liberal, and when I say liberal, I mean fucking racist. People are so deeply inundated with the ideas of, the 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 bell curve, and, you know uh, just straight up fascism, and Nazi ideas, that, they say stuff that is like, what do you mean? Uh, But if they mean people of similar, or I guess states of similar countries, similar ideologies should unite in federations, then yes, of course I agree. Similar cultures feels like you mean like black nationalism, white nationalism, which is stupid. The international proletariat belongs to no country. I don't know. Uh, well, no, the questions can't be open to further interpretation because they're putting my answers individually on a scale, and they're weighting them based on my answers to these questions. So it's definitely important what they mean when they say this, because they're going to be placing me and then and saying a certain thing about what that means. Uh, so I mean, I'm further interpreting them, but my interpretation is that the people who wrote these questions are uh, they have their brain rotted by liberalism. Um, the international proletariat belongs to no country. I said that already. I don't. There isn't an international proletariat. And there's no actual organization or movement with power that is like organizing these people. And this feels specifically like, oh, you shouldn't try to overthrow any specific government. I'm going to go neutral. National liberation or self determination for all peoples is a good concept. Sure. I would be willing to sacrifice economic resources in my home country in order to help other countries. Uh, yeah, obviously, but like, again, we're talking, we're sort of loading these questions with it's like, what economic resources? Like, are you willing to create a famine in your own country? For like, of course, people aren't going to be happy with that. Do we even have? Would we need to sacrifice to help? Like, America is the richest country in the history of the world. We wouldn't need. We could bring the entire globe out of poverty with our resources. And I mean, we've colonized all of these places and removed. We need to give them back. We're not sacrificing anything to be like giving all of the wealth that we've stolen from the quote unquote third world, the global south. Um, so yes, strongly agree, and that's really important because sort of liberal minded people who are sort of slowly or have kind of become more interested in anti-capitalism or uh, communism, or think of themselves as anti-capitalists, tend to still have these sort of like weird things. And I think that's why like nationalism is a little bit dangerous in terms of like the bad nationalism, like the well, fuck other countries, like that's the same attitude. It's like, well, the only reason America, like if next year we had a revolution and the working class took over America, like we have to boil down all the tanks, like we have to get, redistribute the wealth not only among our people but also among all of the nations we've stolen from. So that Native Americans and Black people specifically uh, are deeply involved and are returned to a place of power um, in the country. Um, I think that like imagining that only Black people or Native American people would have to be in charge and doing it, or like have final say or final cut on like laws. It doesn't make any sense. But everybody being equal and then doing restorative justice is important. Uh, Socialist political parties should participate in liberal democratic elections. Yes, yes, they should. We don't have a socialist political party. I mean, we have Socialist Alternative and we have the PSL, but they're just starting to like run actual candidates at local levels. But we should absolutely be infiltrating um, the parliamentary system. The bourgeois parliamentary system. Um, yeah, I mean, like it's funny because I remember like in 2016, people were like, we should be talking about like inside outside. Remember that sort of like discourse that people were like, we should be like working on like street revolution and like electoral revolution, and everyone was like, yeah, that makes sense, or no, that doesn't make sense. But like, no one did it. Like, not inside the fucking Democratic Party. Like, that's not gonna do anything. Um, they will eat you. They will eat you alive. So yes, they should participate in the elections, but not with the fucking Democratic Party. New party. Trade unions and workers' councils should form the basis of a socialist society. Uh, no, I disagree. I am a Marxist Leninist, I guess. If that's how you want to say it. I think Lenin was right, is what I like to say. Um, and trade unions and worker councils are good, necessary, but the basis has to be the party. And like I said on the episode I did yesterday, um, a party form doesn't have. I don't care about the party. Like, I don't care if you call it a party, but the like the DSA could be the vanguard if they wanted to be, if they wanted to behave that way. Like, you can be the Democratic Socialists of America and still act like a vanguard party. They don't. Just to be clear, they do not at all. Collaborating with the bourgeois capitalist party, not running their own people, not, as far as I know, very rarely even like trying to unionize, trying to educate. I mean, like, I don't know exactly what their deal is, but they're not behaving in a way that I think is going to be helpful. But the basis of a socialist society, uh, I mean, society. I don't know. I mean, it's a weird way to word it because it's like workers' councils are nice and probably should exist, uh, but the state is a workers' council. You know what I mean? Like the Soviet, like they're modular Soviets, right? So, no, the workers' council is the society, is the state, and the state is the, I guess, basis. So I'm gonna disagree. It go either way. The leadership of political parties in the progression towards socialism will always lead to authoritarianism. Oh my god. Authoritarianism isn't real. I have talked about this before. Um, we want authority. Authority is good. Like, authority is a good thing, and you can't change anything without it. The state has to be able to oppress the bourgeois class, the ruling class. So you have to have authority to do that. Authoritarianism is literally invented by the CIA to be anti-communist. So strongly disagree. Look up Juan Lin's. Look at CIA papers. You can go on the CIA.gov and look up how they invented that. Democratic centralism is an authoritarian organizational structure that disregards the masses. I just said no. Only a mass working party can achieve any meaningful long-term goals. So this was the Bolshevik Menshevik disagreement of like how many people should be in the party, which seems like a pretty minor distinction. But Lenin was pretty sure, and he won, so we should learn that having everybody in the party and having everybody have equal weight or equal say, or anybody who agrees with having, especially pre-revolution, pre-winning, having their, everyone being able to like vote on direction is like it's too much right now. And you should read the book. You should read Satan Rev. You should read What Is to Be Done. Actually, I was thinking how useless it is to read it without like looking up a ton of stuff. And I was thinking I might try to like make maybe a YouTube video that just sort of puts those books in context. It's gonna be like a 20-minute thing that just says like this is what he's getting at. This is what. Anyway, so my answer is no. Small Vanguard party is better. And I think the conditions of the internet, mass connection, might change this a little, depending on what the word mass versus small, minority, majority. I don't think it's a huge deal. We just have to be careful. And I don't think like signing everybody up on a card and giving them equal say as people is a good idea as party members in the forming the party, because especially now, especially in the Imperial Core. So I'm gonna go right now. No, I could be swayed though. I could be swayed. Mass spontaneous actions are more effective than carefully planned actions. I think we've got to say strongly agree. Again, Lenin talks about this in What Is to Be Done as well, and it's obviously not how it works. The fact that so many workers vote for bourgeois parties over socialist parties is proof that party politics are no longer relevant. What fucking socialist parties? I'm going to say strongly disagree. Socialist organizations are generally better off when organized loosely and decentrally. Blech. Trade unionism has been largely corrupted by the ruling class and is no longer a viable structure for a socialist organization. No, I don't. I kind of disagree with that. I mean, it's been chopped at the knees, It's been crippled. And I think Lenin talks about how he thinks that trade unionism can only be reformist, but he later said that he was wrong. We've seen trade unionism actually lead to class consciousness. So it's possible. So I'm gonna say I kind of disagree, but I mean it's not the structure, right? No longer a viable structure for socialism. I'm gonna disagree. Climate change is a major global threat that socialists must fiercely combat, of course. Measures to address environmental issues are unacceptable if they result in significant decreases in production and quality of life. Like what? What are we talking about here? I don't know. Measures to address I would disagree. Well, I don't know what that means. It is foolish to expect renewable energy sources to be able to replace fossil fuels. No, that's stupid. Strongly disagree. We don't need fossil fuels. We don't even need cars, so fuck off. Industrialized farming practices must be abolished, even if it leads to lower outputs. What? Why? I mean, look, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. But as far as I can tell, farming is not the major polluter. It's the fucking military. Mass globalized war and capital. So things could get smaller, but I don't think you have to stop using, we could make electric tractors. We could make lots of different things. We can invent our way out of it, I think. Not that I'm necessarily 100% like, oh, we can have exactly the same. I'm not saying, it might be a way better for, lower outputs locally. It might be way better to not have like national, like if in communism you can't get fucking oranges in New York, whoopty shit. sorry, you can't have oranges then. You know what I mean? Like if it's not the best way to do, like we shouldn't have like steamboats uh chugging oranges up the coast, or not steamboats, but you know what I'm saying, big polluting boats, or 18 wheelers, you know, trucking along the freeways, just so that people can have oranges in a place where oranges don't grow. Like, things are going to have to change. I'm not saying things aren't going to have to change, but imagining that those things are necessarily polluting or anti-environmental is sort of aesthetic. Um, I don't know if that's true. Some of them are going to have to change. Lots of them are going to have to change, but the military will have to change first. Cars will have to change. Maybe we go back to trains and there'll be much less pollution. We don't know. I don't know. I'm sure somebody knows. I'm sure somebody could very, very nicely lay out for you what a non-polluting communist society would look like. But I don't know. So I'm going to say I disagree because it's just too broad. It will be important to implement extensive environmental protections as part of achieving socialism, of course. Experimental, environmentally friendly food sources like cultured meat. Oh, sure. I mean, if that helps, it seems like meat production is very bad, and I would love to have a lab-grown steak. And if that's something that solves the pollution problem and the cruelty problem and disease problems, then yeah, sure. I don't. I, if they're worth investing in, they're worth investing in. Personal motor vehicles such as cars should be replaced with free public transport. Strongly agree. It is acceptable for humanity to suffer to some notable extent in order to preserve the natural ecosystem. What the fuck is a natural ecosystem? You made that up. We're a part of nature. Um, I mean, like I just said, you know, uh, if you don't get to have a fucking orange with your brunch in New York, whoop-de shit. Who cares? You know, it's free. You know what I mean? Uh, People won't be crying about that kind of stuff. They'll just like it more when they do get to fucking eat an orange or whatever kind of fruit they can have, or because it's like not around or it's out of season. Like sometimes things even under capitalism, you know what I mean? Like you just be like, oh, you can't fucking have a nectarine right now, it's the winter or whatever. That's just how life is, and that's okay, and people aren't gonna like freak out over it because they're gonna have a much better life. um so if that's what you mean by suffer, then I agree. If you mean like the poor people have to live in poverty so that we can, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to say disagree, because suffer isn't not being able to eat the kind of fruit you want. We must and we should always be making sure that the number one goal is to make humanity not suffer at the cost of, and not at the cost of, because saying like at the cost of the planet is stupid, because it's like, well, then humanity will die and suffer. Yeah. We must radically alter our food consumption in order to limit the. What's all about this food now? In order to limit the exploitation of nature. I don't know. I don't think that's. I mean, maybe it's not food consumption; it's food production. Human population growth must be Jesus Christ. No, that's not. No one thinks that. Some small scale destruction of nature is acceptable if it notably benefits humanity. Again, we're nature, right? Like you don't call like a bunch of bugs living rotting in a rotting log and eating it destruction of nature. It's all nature. If we're not being good stewards of our own land, we're going to suffer too. This is fucking insane. This is this is what I'm saying. This is an incredibly ideologically loaded question, because it necessarily presumes that humans are not nature, And nature, it's either us or nature. If we kill nature, we kill ourselves. If we preserve and nurture nature, we preserve and nurture ourselves. There is no either or here. You can't disagree or agree with this because it doesn't it's it's wrong. Some small scale destruction of nature is acceptable. I, I I just disagree with the question. Humanity must return to the primitive ways of the past to overcome long-term climate issues. I strongly disagree with that. When? The 1800s? The 1600s? BC? Fuck off. We must accept that the socialist states of the 20th century failed to address environmental issues. I don't think we have to accept that. I think that, wait, the 20th century? So Soviets? They didn't know. The science wasn't there. It's not like Stalin was like looking at like, oh, if we do this to the ocean, we're gonna fuck up, but it'll profit me. Like that's not what happened. They just didn't know. Nobody knew. People had theories, but we didn't know. They didn't know. And even if they did and they fucked up and they did something that was like, well, it matters now, and if we're going to lose our sense of, we're going to lose the revolution if we don't do this, who cares? Some society 100 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, fucked up. Okay, whatever, they fucked up. So I just disagree. The oppression of queer people is a major issue that needs to be seriously addressed. Sure. But not, it's not separate from class. The oppression of queer people is classist. They are working class and they are stratified. So I agree, but it's not different. Traditional gender roles, such as women being homemakers, need to be overcome. They don't exist. What do you mean? I mean, I agree. But they're not real. I mean, there's no law that women need to be homemakers. I mean, maybe in some place that's not America that exists, but not here. So, what are we talking about? Do what you want. I mean, you should be allowed to do what you want. Marriage is a patriarchal social construct that should be phased out. I actually agree with this one. I mean, I don't think marriage is anything. It's stupid and doesn't need to exist. I think that you should be able to have a legal agreement with, I don't really get the idea that, I remember when the gay marriage thing was happening, that, you had a lot of people being like, oh, I'm not able to go into, the hospital room with my husband, a gay man, because I'm gay and we can't get married. I was like, what the fuck? If I want my best friend to be in the hospital room or to have the right as an executor of my will or whatever, I should be able to do that. All of those systems of marriage is as a legal thing is just dumb. I should be able to make whoever I want be my partner in life. Yeah, I agree. Abortion is an immoral act that should be banned or significantly limited. I disagree. Well, who cares? We all know, but no one watching this is like abortion is bad, actually, right? I mean, no one wants to have an abortion. Very few people are like, man, I can't wait to get pregnant so I can have an abortion. Stupid. It's not fun. It's painful and weird and feels bad. But, it's a medical procedure. No one's like, man, I hope I can get a root canal. Religions overall have a mostly positive effect and should remain influential in society. Ooh, I have um, my thoughts on this are no. Um, Religions are sort of like an extra state power structure, and in some cases, like the Roman Catholic Church, literally just the state. Um, Not enough people talk about how sort of religion as a concept sort of paved the way for like liberalism, and like how it's like it's not monarchical, but it is like a ruling class. So religion is fine. I think it's as community building, and it can be useful. I'm not saying but at least in my experience, it's not mostly positive. It does need to be under what religion is needs to be very clearly defined. Minority populations should receive special legal protections. Depends. Probably. I'm going to say agree. Socialist government has no right to disrupt religious or cultural traditions in any situation. Strongly disagree. If the religious or cultural tradition is fucking children, Catholic Church, absolutely any government has a right to disrupt the religious or cultural tradition. Fuck your you know what I mean? Like laws, morals, ideological foundation is way more important than religion because it's not different. No matter what they want to say, no matter what they want to pretend, that like religions are ideological uh, and moral behavior structures. So absolutely not. Prisons are oppressive and antiquated institutions that need to be abolished. No, I kind of disagree because prisons, the concept, I don't know how you get past that. Um, I think it could be necessary in any situation, and any, especially if you're pressing the ruling class, right? Um, so no, I mean, I disagree. Obviously, I'm a prison abolitionist in America. I think that our prison system needs to be abolished and replaced, but I think the whole state should be. So, obviously, policies that enable a mass immigration are naive and should not be implemented. Uh, Disagree. I've talked enough about that, I think. You cannot achieve a socialist society without making significant social progress. That's so vague as to be meaningless. I disagree. Ooh, that's it. Okay. So, looks like we got um I'm a revolutionary more than reform. It's weird. I don't know what they mean by 27%. I'm very scientific. I'm very centralist. I'm internationalist. I'm partisan. Oh, as opposed to union. Well, I guess that's true. Production versus nature. Look at how balanced I am there. Progressive versus conservative. I don't know what that's supposed to even mean. And they think I'm a Marxist Leninist too, so I guess I am. Um, Orthodox Marxism, centrist Marxism, eco Marxism, left communism. Hey, fuck off. I'm not an ultra. What do they? What do they? What do they think I'm the opposite of? Utopian? I'm not utopian. Market anarchism? Yeah, because that's capitalism. They say it's not anarcho. That mixes anarchist abolition of hierarchy. How? The state and capitalism with heightened individualism and moderate reformist approach. Jesus. Yeah, well, I believe in Tinkerbell too. All right. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And then I'm going to come back and I'll leave this here so you can read it. I'll come back and we'll do something else. Maybe we'll watch this Kyle Kalinske. Put in the chat what you want me to do. All right, where are we? Well, people are still here, but no one's telling me what to do. I kind of want to. I don't know. I'm always talking about how. I mean, you know, it's funny. The person who like got me feeling like I should stream, is vaush. Um, Not because I agree with literally anything he says, but because he doesn't. Because I don't. Um, and it's just crazy to me that people can just go on Twitch and say insanely stupid shit. And people are just like, "Oh, he's so smart. He's so smart, man. He's got all the right opinions." That guy's a cop, I think. I feel like that guy must be a cop, right? I've never seen one. I've only seen his Twitter, you know. Um, I've never seen him saying anything. So if anyone wants to send me a link for like a Kyle or a vaush video, look at my subscriptions on YouTube. Yeah, watch a video together. I'll tell you why it sucks. What if we watch Twitch? Do people do that? No. I don't want to watch myself. Look, let's watch
Oh,
Liv.
no.
We're gonna have real ass.
It's not
calls.
it's not a permanent one.
Calls to Brian Kilmeade, Dennis Prager, Jesse Lee Peterson.
Oh yeah, but
Ian
basically
Collins
the
from
whole point of the thing I was talking about before is that I see a lot of like SOCDEM Twitter develop these very very radical or attempt to develop very radical anti-retributivist and like anti-speciesist arguments, but I think like what I don't understand is how that
How does someone like Liv even find this stuff? Who the fuck is this? 2000. What is Hassan doing?
Lisa, your turn to ask a question.
Shut up, no one cares. Why are you watching this? Who gives a shit? Is vaush on? Is this him? Oh no, that's Vaus. What did I say? Vaush. Is he not on Twitch? I thought he was the Twitch guy. or is he YouTube? Or maybe his name is something else? Vaushi. YouTube? Can you believe this guy was like, let's fucking, oh, he's banned from Twitch. Transphobes. Okay. The CIA is everywhere. Oh, he thinks CIA. He thinks he knows about the CIA? Let's see what he's got to say. Look at this production.
So I saw some wild shit happen recently. And
Such a fucking dweeb.
normally I have a more principled approach to these sorts of things, but I thought it would just be nice to go over a Twitter thread.
Look at this.
We can pretend we're
look at
like
this
any other
beard.
YouTube political commentator for a moment, okay? This is from Second
Okay.
Thought. This is going to be an important thread. We need to talk about YouTube and private media operations in general. This thread was prompted by
Glass?
YouTube's shadow ban of my
You
new
mean
video,
gas?
but that's really just a minor inconvenience. The whole story involves YouTube, the DHS, and the CIA.
Okay.
Yesterday morning, I released a video titled "The CIA is a Terrorist Organization."
So boring.
Unsurprisingly, it was instantly demonetized. Fine. But what followed was both intensely disappointing and honestly fairly alarming. After the video went live, I got the usual comments. First, hi, clicked as soon as I saw the notification, etc. Views were disappointing, but par for the course on a demonetized video. Later in the day, some of my patrons reported something odd. The video was no longer appearing in their subscription feed.
It's a good thing
Not
I
only
don't
that, but I
want
started
to
getting
be
comments saying subscribers hadn't been notified
monetized.
and that they had come to the channel to see I had a new video, but
So this person is sad because they made a video about how bad the CIA is, and they're sad that they got demonetized. Like, who cares? Why? I mean, whatever. Make a Patreon, I guess, if you won't care so much about money.
that there wasn't that wasn't even the most unusual. People started reporting they could no longer find what showed up in the results. I confirmed this personally. I tweeted YouTube to request an explanation. I gave them the relevant details, and this was their response. It takes a few days for the video to show up in the results, which
What's
is a
second
lie.
thought? Is that this guy? JT Chapman?
This was an
Oh,
obvious
okay.
lie, and an insulting one at that. I've been uploading videos to YouTube for 5 years. I produced over 200 videos for the platform. I know how it works. This has
Should
never
I get a
happened.
little window like this?
And the fact that the video
Around my
did appear at
face?
first proves YouTube's response was a lie.
Is that cool? Is that what
So
people
they
like?
shadow banned my video. So what? It's their platform. I'd agree with this if they were simply transparent with their actions. They didn't age-gate my video. They didn't strike it. They just
Age-gate.
quietly tried to suppress it. Luckily,
Vaush
people
is a part of AgeGate.
if they had just let the video be, it would have gotten maybe 150,000 views, and that'd be the end of it. But now, thanks to their shady behavior and incompetence, it's going to make some noise.
He reminds me of the Amazing Atheist.
Let's briefly discuss how YouTube
You know what
handles
I mean?
controversial videos.
Can you guys hear both of us?
A few months ago, I uploaded a video about police brutality. It showed explicit acts of violence by the police, and it was understandably age-gated. The video was appropriate only for older audiences, but
Oh my
it did
God,
not break
get to
any
the
of
point.
YouTube's terms and conditions. Provide IA. However,
Oh, wait.
it's important to remember very conspiratorial received notifications. It appeared in the search results and then only later disappeared without explanation, leads me to believe someone made a complaint on the behalf of a certain intelligence agency. Now, here's where I want to jump in. This sounds very conspiratorial. My video got shadow banned from YouTube. It was the CIA. However,
I'll
it's
let 'em go.
important to remember that this is literally their job.
I think that AgeGate is just means like you have to be 18 to watch it, or like say put in your birthday or something, which seems fine. So right before we hear what Vaush has to say, I wanted to. He says that this is literally their job. Do you think he's talking about Second Thought, or I think he's talking about Second Thought, because he has to know it's not literally the CIA, or not explicitly the CIA's job.
Now, it's impossible to prove when intelligence agencies do things like that. It is literally their job to be able to do this without
No.
getting called out in it.
So technically that's wrong. I mean, it is. I mean, it's not their job. They are a shadow government. They do whatever the fuck they want. But just to be clear, and Vaush should know this, I assume, considering he's supposedly a politics guy. The CIA is technically not supposed to be allowed to do anything domestically, which is why, the whole concept of MK Ultra and them being involved in MK Ultra, or literally, COINTELPRO or Chaos, or literally any of the things that they do are illegal, because the whole point is that they're an international, they're supposed to be an offensive team that operates internationally, not within the borders of America. It's literally against the law for them to do that. So it's not their job, just to be clear.
If they could be called out in it, then they wouldn't be doing their job very well. If every time the CIA meddled in domestic politics, or the FBI or NSA or whatever, they wouldn't be doing their job particularly well. What we're talking about here is the soft power of government institutions and the impact that they can have on public discourse. And that's what I'm interested in talking about.
Okay.
See, generally speaking, people can do, in this country, whatever the fuck they want. And as long as they're operating on private platforms, they're beholden to only one thing. And that's the terms of service of the platform that they're operating on.
What? Wait. Why is he saying that they can do whatever the fuck they want? Most people can't do anything. I can't do half the shit I want to do. And they have to deal with the terms of service. So the state, literally the corporate state. This is one of the funny things about people who have no material analysis, is that they refuse to acknowledge that, like, corporations are also the state, that we live in we live in a post-fascist state, so that, like, imagining or believing that there's a difference between the American elected officials, the CIA, an unelected body who has absolute undemocratic control over us, and fucking Google or YouTube, there's no difference. They're all the same thing. They're all the state. They're all the mechanisms, the levers of power. They are all mechanisms of control.
And the terms of service are generally dictated by advertisers. YouTube doesn't make its money from you. It makes it from advertisers. Well, Google makes its money.
Ew, what's wrong with his ear? Did he have, like, plugs or something? Does anybody know?
Money from a lot of places. But generally speaking, YouTube makes its money off.
I know that I'm not, a 10 out of 10 or anything. But I do like to, I'm not above making fun of people's appearance when they're an asshole.
Advertisers. If advertisers don't want their ads running next to guru hentai videos, then they talk with YouTube, and YouTube implements a terms of service agreement which prevents those types of videos from being put up. And they have tiered systems. Demonetized videos don't tend to get ads, but it's not enough for videos to be demonetized if they're bad enough. Some videos contain illegal content. I don't think we'd be okay with child pornography being uploaded to YouTube as long as it was demonetized.
What does that have
don't think we'd be satisfied.
What does that have to do with anything?
Seems like we should probably take it down. And it does get taken down. There are a number of ways content on its platform.
Isn't he kind of a pedophile?
Now, YouTube doesn't give a shit, doesn't give a single shit if you put up a video that is anti-Trump, anti-GOP, anti-CIA, anti-FBI, anti-capitalist.
Really?
They don't care.
Fuck you. That's not true. That's not true at all. How could you say that? Did you hear what he said? He said that YouTube/Google doesn't care if the political character of what you're saying. Like, they don't care. Even if you know that on YouTube and demonetize, care about that. What are you talking about? I guess he's much more educated. specifically, considering he's only on YouTube. But I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm fucking wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that, oh, am I frozen? I'm pretty sure that YouTube has been explicitly called out and found to be censoring people for their content, right? Am I crazy?
One of the greatest things about capitalism, and by greatest I mean great in the sense that it's powerful and not great in the sense that it's good, is that they're capable of co-opting discourse and criticism. That is to say, it is possible to despise capitalism, to hate it with every fiber of your being, and to relegate all of that criticism to mediums that benefit capitalist institutions. You're watching me on YouTube. You realize that. I'm an anti-capitalist. If you
I gotta hear that again. Hang on a second. I can't.
Anti-GOP, anti-CIA, anti-FBI, anti-capitalist.
Saying they don't care. It's fine.
One of the greatest things about capitalism, and by greatest I mean great in the sense that it's powerful and not great in the sense that it's good, is that they're capable of co-opting
Who's they?
Discourse
Capitalists?
and criticism. That is to say, it is possible to despise capitalism, to hate it with every fiber of your being, and to relegate all of that criticism to mediums that benefit capitalist institutions. You're watching me on YouTube. You realize that. I'm an anti-capitalist. If you donate to me from YouTube chat, YouTube takes 30% of every donation. You think they care that I'm railing against capitalism? You think they can? You think there's some guy at YouTube who's like, actually, the material conditions of our supremacy can only exist in the absence of people like vaush. They don't care. They're making money. They don't care. Same with anti-cop vids. They don't care. As long as it all follows TOS, so the advertisers don't get mad. Yeah, it's all about traffic. It's all about...
Yeah, that's not true. I mean, like, I get what he's saying. And I think that that's... There is some truth to that. There is someone like Vaush, I think, probably doesn't get a lot of pushback because he's not saying anything super dangerous. This is the thing. This is the thing. Is there is a level where, you know, anything that would actually be dangerous or considered inciting violence or inciting a revolution or actually being a successful look, I mean, the guy, what do you someone just said what he got fucking banned for saying that Israel should be gassed. Sure, that, like, you know, reference that sounds like he's being edgy or whatever, but like, is it because it was anti-Semitic or is it because it was anti-Israel and anti-American? Israel's America, basically. You know, if something crosses, there is a line that, like, censors will, you know, push. The idea that you could just not, that there's no sort of ideological line you can cross, that YouTube is completely unaware, doesn't care, is fine with anybody using their platform to disperse you know, Soviet or communist propaganda. Yeah, somebody in the Red Left's host, but I think he might be home, Flores from Poddam, who the Department of Homeland Security came to his house. Yeah, there is absolutely a line, and like, we have evidence, like actual concrete evidence, that these institutions are monitoring this stuff. Like, it's not a joke. Like, the idea that, oh, YouTube doesn't care and that YouTube isn't collecting an arm of the
Search engine optimization. It's all about the algorithm. And that's almost kind of a good thing for us, at least in some respects, because would
It
you
would be
rather
nice
live
if
in
they
a
didn't
world where
care.
every capitalist social media institution capitalist discourse? That wouldn't be good for us. That would be very bad for us. They'll only start doing stuff like that if they feel scared. But they're
Which
not
they
scared
do.
right now. They're fine.
They're not
doing
scared.
great.
He's
But-
right about that.
Not all powerful institutions are profit driven. The CIA is driven, as is the FBI and the NSA and other intelligence communities, by a desire to seek out and destroy enemies of the state. That's their only job.
Well, I mean, that's partially true, but like the ideology of something like, maintaining power for a capitalist, for a ruling class, has to do with profit. And the CIA, if you look at Iran Contra, fucking, found imported crack cocaine from South America into black neighborhoods for profit. They've always been funding themselves with opium, with acid, with drug trafficking and sex trafficking. So they're a company too. Simply it's creating this weird dividing line between for actions that only from protecting the state, as though the state is just an organization that is not political, is baffling. Calm down.
That's one of the reasons why the feds don't much. They think he's incompetent. I don't have a problem with like conservatism. The FBI wouldn't give a shit if Trump put trans people in camps. But Trump sort of Russia getting along with other foreign governments, security leaks, doesn't seem to have a very good handle on power. That's what intelligence agencies don't like.
Yeah.
This seems like
That's fair.
tinfoil hat tier. Nothing that I've said so far is even remotely conspiratorial. Nothing that I've said so
Well,
far
those
is
are
even
wrong.
remotely conspiratorial. This is just a factual description of the way these institutions work.
No.
And we know they do
You're wrong.
this. The CIA has long been involved in regime change abroad.
Yep.
The FBI was responsible for COINTELPRO, which was a secret illegal government program where they would spy on, infest, send spies to, kill, interrupt, and otherwise harm leftist advocacy. The FBI sent MLK tell him to kill himself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty wacky.
That's the word for it.
And for a lot of the things that the CIA and the FBI have done, we only know they did them because of the work of incredibly courageous investigative journalists, or because of years down the line.
Wait, investigative journal. He thinks that we know about COINTELPRO because of investigative journalists. That's very silly. Just to be clear, if you don't know, we know about COINTELPRO because of an activist group that literally broke into an FBI office and stole documents. So maybe you could call that investigative journalism. But yeah, that's not generally what people are talking about. The stuff we know that they did, like Chaos, like MK Ultra, were known way before they admitted it. I don't like that. I don't like that fucking little sleight of hand he did there.
Information was
I'm not saying he necessarily did it on purpose, but he's ignorant of this topic.
declassified, but it's really hard to know what's going on at that moment. They're intelligence agencies. Behind me right now is a book written on the guy who got me into leftism.
Leftism. Fred Hampton.
The Assassination of Fred Hampton, which I think is a great book.
Good guy.
All of you should read it. I don't normally recommend reading. No homework assignments here, but that is a good
Reading
book.
is
And it's
reading
written
is gay.
by a lawyer, a white lawyer, who did a lot of work defending Black Panthers and other civil rights causes back in the 1960s. And Fred Hampton was killed by police working alongside the feds.
Mhm. That shit'll radicalize you.
I don't think today is the anniversary of his death. Is that true? Hold on,
he
wait.
didn't know. Yeah.
Son
this
of a
is from
bitch,
today.
December 4th. Wow. I didn't even plan that.
That's funny.
No, I legitimately didn't know. I don't plan any of this.
Well, I mean, I don't either.
He's dead. He was a really cool guy. Great speaker. Charismatic
You
guy.
know, it's like, it's funny because someone's in the chat says, I don't want to go full red Kahina, who I don't know who that is. Can someone tell me who that is? And also, should I watch their shit? Or read their shit? I don't want to go full red Kahina here, but this guy seems like an op. You know, I think about that. I doubt that Vaush seems like somebody who has rich parents. You know, I don't actually know what his like background is. He seems like someone who is very invested. He seems like someone who sort of just is too stubborn to be told he has reactionary views. I would be really surprised if the CIA or the CIA was like boosting. Obviously, the thing is like when people say like this guy's an op, like what you should be reading is not that they know they're an op. What you should be like, if I agreed with you, OG Spidey 9, like what we would be saying is not that, you know, a man in black is coming to Vaush's like fucking apartment in LA or wherever he lives and like handing him a briefcase full of money or whatever. Like it's not like that. What it would be is the CIA would be boosting his content, you know, paying for, you know, placement or telling YouTube to, you know, bring him up or, you know, or Twitch or whatever, you know. He wouldn't know about it. They wouldn't know about it. Like if he was an op, he would be chosen as a voice that muddies the water. That's sort of how that works. In the same way, like, you know, that's why it's so hard to talk about this stuff. Like when I had a whole video about Michael Ronell, the guy who killed the Patriot Prayer guy in Portland, and my take is, and I still believe this, that whatever was done to him was not something that he was aware of. That like whoever his handlers are or were not open FBI or CIA agents. Do you know what I mean? He was probably a mentally ill person who was suggestible, or they gave him drugs and made him mentally ill. They do have mind control. That is not a conspiracy. They admit it. You know, the MK Ultra project, you know, they said it failed. But then how did Jack Ruby kill Oswald? You know, who's Jolly West? Like if you read this stuff, like it clearly didn't fail. They clearly can control people to some extent. So, you know, it's not, I'm not saying that Vaush is an agent, you know what I mean? But, and I don't think you're saying that either, but, you know, this stuff is important to recognize that when we're talking about operations, we're talking about influence but I kind of doubt that. I think this guy's just a dumbass. I think he's a kind of stubborn. He really, like I said, he really reminds me of the Amazing Atheist, who's a guy who's so far up his own ass, he just refuses to be told or educated on on his blind spots. And he's too invested in a certain form of capital, and he also is deeply influenced by CIA and Nazi propaganda, anti-communist propaganda. And so people turn their brain into pretzels to still be anti-capitalist without being a communist. They have been influenced by propaganda that communism is bad, which it isn't. It's good. Super Bleeder says suggest is different from control, and that's true. But I do think they control people. I mean, like, if you read about what happened to Jack Ruby, like, just read Chaos, please, because like Jolly West had he was able to have a man rape a child and forget about it. He was able to have Jack Ruby kill Lee Harvey Oswald and forget about it. It's really wild. I do believe that, and as far as I can tell, there is evidence for that belief. Sue me.
You know, the only reason that we know about the circumstances of his death and the involvement of the FBI is because of a lot of really hard work done by leftists to uncover
That's what I said.
the extent of their involvement in domestic politics. So, here's a question.
So why do you think they
If
don't?
the feds are willing to spy on their own citizens, well, now that we have the Patriot Act, I mean, they're all spying on us. But if the feds are willing to murder American citizens who are involved in anti-racist, anti-capitalist organization, do you think it would even be a trifle for them to work with YouTube and other social media companies to deprioritize and shadow ban content they don't like?
No, I don't.
Like,
think
do you
that.
think that would even be difficult? Companies like Google have direct contacts with intelligence agencies. They work with those agencies to provide, you know, if there's a warrant, or if there's a subpoena, or if they just need like a information request. Facebook does this religiously. Nah, Vaush, this is cringe as fuck. Once again, Mango Boy, nothing I've said so far
Can you imagine?
is remotely conspiratorial. This is just factual stuff that has happened, and it's pretty cringe.
I like how he like is so afraid of sounding conspiratorial. Like, they have conspiracies. What do you mean? Like, this is like conspiracy. Like, to him, the concept of conspiratorial is fake. Like, conspiratorial means you're asserting things without evidence. But that word doesn't even. The word just means that people conspire, which we know is literally fake, factual. So why are you being such a little bitch about this? It is cringe that your fucking audience thinks this is cringe. Just saying facts.
Cringe to say tinfoil hat when we're talking about stuff that's literally happened. But I understand the concern. I don't like conspiratorial thinking.
Well, you don't like it? Why
I
not?
argue against it on this channel all the time.
Oh, I would love to hear it. When does he do that?
Because I think conspiratorial...
He is. He's such a lib.
I think conspiratorial thinking can lead you down some really, really bad roads. It makes it difficult to understand where
Someone
you
said
need to
he
go, what
has a
the
decorum
truth value of
fetish.
given claims are.
But
So I'm not
exactly.
going to make a conspiratorial claim to you, okay? What I'm going to say is a fact. And note, by the way, so far, nothing I've said is conspiratorial. I'll say this.
It's not conspiratorial. Bro, it's not.
It is important to remember that institutions like the FBI, the CIA, that these institutions are not our allies. Hot take from a leftist. But they are capable of exercising almost limitless discretion in how they work to preserve what they consider to be in American interests. They can do almost
That's
anything.
right.
It's the fucking
Almost.
FBI.
What can't they do?
It's the CIA. These are the most powerful intelligence agencies in all of human history. The security apparatuses they have established. Vaush, why the fuck would the fucking CIA give a shit about random YouTube videos? My friend, why would they not? We live in a surveillance state. There are, right now, multiple intelligence agencies through which this stream, the data feed from this stream, are probably either now or going to move through.
Run the
Doesn't mean
fucking.
Fed's watching.
They fucking run the internet. What do you think ARPANET is? What is Amazon Web Services? It's all intelligence.
Us right now, but all of this gets logged. I have a file. Undeniably, I have a file. There's no denying that I have a file.
He loves that he has a file.
How long do you think it takes a Fed to make a change like that? Would it be that surprising to you if the FBI or some other agency sent lists to a contact at Google every day or every week containing a list of videos that they want quieted? Would that surprise you?
He wouldn't even have to
that
compile
right
it.
there is
It's funny how like based this is like not based. I mean, it's fairly based, I have to say, but it's funny how like baby shit this is, and he like his audience is like, you're crazy for this one, Vaush. Like, this is so sad. I feel bad for him, honestly, because this is like, I was wondering what his like take on parapolitics would be. Like how you be a market socialist and know anything about the CIA. Remember, he's a quote unquote market socialist, which I don't think is real. As we've talked about in this video. I was wondering what his like take would be on this. But I'm happy that he's not out here trying to support the CIA or something. But it is funny how his audience is like, you're dumb for thinking the CIA is bad.
infinitely
Like,
less
what have you been saying this whole time? How'd you get this famous?
and
not talk about
infinitely
this?
less destructive than other things the feds have done in this country.
Maybe
in
as
the
an
recent
op, I don't
past.
know. Look at people saying nope, 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 nope to him.
I mean,
They
after
don't
all
like
the
it.
stuff like
They hate it.
Snowden showed us, after all the stuff that we've been
Snowden is a CIA agent, by the way. Snowden is, I don't think he should be punished or whatever, but he is a CIA agent. The reason, look, think about it. I don't know what a libsock is, but as far as I can tell on his Twitter, and tell him to come on the stream, and I'll ask him myself. But according to his Twitter, I think he's a market socialist, whatever that means, which seems to be just like capitalist. I don't think he really knows much about Mark. Got him into leftism. What was I just saying? He said something. Oh, right. Snowden. Snowden is a CIA agent, not an asset, not someone being suggested. He's an agent. He was, his leak of the NSA was specifically, his NSA leak was designed to be a smear on the NSA. And then his recommendation to get around being watched by the NSA was to use a piece of software designed by the CIA, Tor. So, why do you think that Julian Assange is being literally tortured right now, and they're going to kill him for his crimes? Same with Bradley Manning. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Chelsea Manning, please do not cancel me for that. I'm so sorry, Chelsea. I love you very much. Come on the stream. I will never say that again. I wish I could censor it. I'm so sorry. Same with Chelsea Manning, who was put in prison for 7 years and then re-put in prison when she wouldn't testify against Assange. So Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange's lives have been ruined. And Edward Snowden, what's he doing? Edward Snowden gets a chill in Russia. No one's coming after Snowden. And if you think he's not still a CIA agent, chilling out and doing stuff in Russia on behalf of the CIA, I got a bridge to sell you. I got a fucking bridge to sell you. Please forgive me for Chelsea. If you please don't ever watch this, I feel so bad. Oops, fuck, I lost my place.
And Fred Hampton was killed by police. So here's a question. If the feds are going to say is a fact, and note, by the way, doesn't mean a fed's watching us right now. Lists to a contact doesn't mean a fed's watching us right now, but all of this gets logged. I have a file. Undeniably, I'm a public figure. I have a file. There's no denying that I have a file.
There's no denying
Videos
it.
that they want. I mean, after all the stuff like Snowden showed us, after all the stuff that we've been made aware of from leaks and whistleblowers, the fact that we know the government's spying on our data, we know for a fact that the government keeps tabs on its own citizens, the idea that they aren't willing to put their foot on the scale, to me, seems a little bit naive.
Hugely naive.
What is this?
Assuming.
Vaush, I served in the military and have TS clearance. What you're stating government agencies can do doesn't even come close to what they've actually done. Yeah, well, I'm trying to be like
Obviously.
on the light foot here. I could make a lot of very severe claims about the government and probably be correct about almost all of them. I'm trying to keep it on
But
the
I'm a
light.
little
To be
pussy.
honest, I'm a little bit concerned that there are people in my audience to whom the idea that the FBI is involved in social media
should be concerned.
demonetization and social media shadow banning is like conspiratorial. To like, that's worrying to me.
Yeah, well,
You know, that people would think something that simple is like unfathomable. to
it's
them.
your
A
responsibility
lot
to
of trust
educate
in
them.
your government. I'm afraid I don't share your trust. I work in cybersecurity now, and I say undeniably they do exceedingly more data collection and interference than you'd even imagine. The capabilities of some of the tech they have access to is well beyond what's...
He's got cybersecurity guys in his chat. I guess that's the title, including my chat apparently. I do cybersecurity, and yes, we do that. We're doing it now. I'm actually right here.
Snowden shared. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Also, when were those Snowden leaks? Wait, how long ago? You can't just answer why with why not, though, Vaush. You know that. They're intelligence agencies. You can't prove what they're doing right off the bat. That's the point of an intelligence agency. But if they've done much more in the past, and they have... So, it's an intelligence agency. They've done more in the past. They do more currently. They have a motive to do this
Very
because
basic.
it preserves domestic...
What have you been teaching these people?
Entrenched interests. They have the means to do this, and
Guys,
they've done worse things in the past.
You
Is
need
it
to
really
hold.
unlikely?
You need to hold Vaush
I'm
accountable.
not here saying, by the way, the point of this was by the FBI or whatever. What I want to talk about is that you all should be concerned with the extent to which these institutions have the ability to silence criticism against them.
Is this the
Their
first
power
time he's
is
ever talked about
virtually
this?
infinite. The smartest and most well-credentialed people on Earth work for them. They have access to technology that would be incomprehensible to someone like me, to a non-computer science security tech type guy. So we should be skeptical.
Yeah, at the
And I
very
am
least,
skeptical. The rest of this Twitter thread goes on.
read anything about the CIA. Jesus Christ.
To talk about the video.
Should we
and
watch
to talk
this
about
video?
the CIA, and the CIA is a terrorist organization, so
I
that's
feel like I'd
based.
just be nodding along.
And get me over there.
Oh, he's gonna watch it.
Okay.
See, that's age gated. Someone asked what age gated was, and that's when You have to be like, are you 18?
Anyone who thinks the FBI doesn't dip its toe into this sort of thing has probably never heard of the FBI. Yeah, well, I just want to say I understand the aversion to conspiracy, but you have to remember. Oh, hello, John. You have to remember. What wait, why are there so many John Oliver recommendations?
Wait, watching a
what?
John
Wait,
Oliver.
hold on. Why are we on? Did I click on something?
Yeah.
I must have clicked on something there. No, here we go. Okay, I must have.
I
must have
dead named
clicked on
Chelsea
this,
Manning, so I
guess?
can't make fun of him.
Huh.
For
I
clicking
didn't?
on-
I have no idea what just happened there.
Looks like the CIA
Hold
is
on.
trying to get you to
The
not watch
FBI
this
and the CIA
video.
work against terrorist organizations. You really think? Wait, hold on. You really think the job of the FBI and the CIA is to fight terrorism? You really think they have the time or the money to be caring about some random content creators on YouTube like the person who tweeted? Dude, they've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
Are there CIA plants in here right now? What's happening?
They told you.
They've done this before. We have leaked documents on what these institutions have done. This is not
We're gonna
new.
CIA pill vouch.
And it's not difficult or time-consuming or expensive for a CIA contact to give lists of content they want deprioritized.
I wonder if he's read anything about this. Maybe he's not a reader. What do you think? What should we watch
Okay,
now?
we're getting off the beaten track a little bit.
Should we
here.
go?
Long story short, these institutions are terrifying. They have more power than you could ever fathom, and we are all but puppets playing to the dance of their strings.
Well, I have to agree
Watch
with you
this
there.
video from Second Thought. It's a good video. It's a good video. And be careful out there, people.
All right, well, that wasn't a bad video. I mean, like, what does that mean, Hassan style babysitting? Is it just like if this is the thing. I've never had as many views or whatever. But as these people. But if all of these people were in my show, I would block all these people. You know what I'm saying? He's got to weigh in on Elliot Page. Who gives a shit? I hope he's having a good time. Is Vaush like trying to become like King Teef? I mean, it'll be up here. You can watch the end of this later. I'm probably gonna go soon too, unless, I mean, if anyone is in the chat wants me to keep watching some videos or whatever, you can just tell me. Having a good time. My band is blowing up my phone though. I should probably look at it at some point. I don't have a meeting with them today. I have a meeting with them tomorrow. But is Vaush like trying to do some kind of like re-hearing where he's, is that what's happening? Because from what I understand, he was like a big anti-trans person. He was all like saying like some mean shit about I've seen clips. I mean, some of the only stuff I've ever seen because people like put it in my Facebook group. Yeah, mean. Maybe he only likes dudes. He's only like, oh, you want to come over to my side? Hell yeah. We're big Elliot supporters. I don't want to just like be all up in this guy's ass. If there's anyone else,
for you,
an actual important person I should be watching, let me know.
It's even got a name, Elliot Page. You've probably already heard the story, but check it out. From the Elliot Page. Hey, friends, just want to shout.
Should I do like a
such a thing
a
for
feel
me.
good story?
It's even got a name, Elliot Page. You've probably already heard the story, but check it out. From the Elliot Page. Hey, friends, just want to share with you I'm trans. My pronouns are he, they, and my name is Sphere. But
he doesn't
wonderful.
read it all.
Feel lucky to be writing this, to be here, to have arrived at this place in my life. How wonderful. I mean, I don't normally follow celeb stuff that much. I thought Juno was an okay movie.
That movie
I
sucks. What are you talking
strongly
about?
dislike David Cage games, so I feel, but but I dislike them enough to care about things going on with them. So that it's sort of,
David Cage.
I'm involved in that sphere. But as you can see, and apparently Netflix is the Umbrella Academy. I don't know.
Does anybody know who that is?
But as you can see, this is a big deal. We've got a tweet, million likes, probably going to get even more. We got a Twitter headline, great, phenomenal. So why do I care? Well,
Yeah,
I think
why
the
do you
story
care?
here is
It's not a story.
broader than just the tweet that Elliot tweeted and the sentiment expressed it and in the responses. And I want to talk about that for a second, but I think this is a really nice tweet. I love that I'm trans. I love that I'm queer. The more I hold myself close and fully embrace who I am, the more I dream, the more my heart grows, and the more I thrive. To all trans people who deal with harassment, self-loathing, abuse, and the threat of violence every day, I see you, I love you, and will do everything I can to change it. Good luck. But the thing that really sticks with me here is,
Oh, Beyond
and
Two
pardon
Souls.
me for gloating, man, are we winning the culture war. Like,
What?
it's 2020. Imagine 10 years ago. Can you imagine something like this going over well?
What,
Like,
Laura Jane
not
Grace?
just going over okay, but going over well. But now, just a decade later, we get just overwhelming support, just across the board.
All right, I
And
gotta
I've seen
stop
the
it.
news.
Okay, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? The culture war? I mean, like, I don't really know what people mean when they say that. Like, the culture war isn't a thing. Like, there is being a bigot, and there's not being a bigot. And then there's a lot of other things that, like, are culturally divisive. But not everyone falls on the same sides of those things. Like, racists and homophobes and transphobes, like, can be pro-gun or anti-gun or abortion or anti-abortion. All of those people, there's no, like, the idea that there's some, like, big naturalistic morality play going on where people are either pro or anti. This is what really bothers me about this is, like, queer rights becomes I think we won that culture war. Space Guy and Friends says the only culture war that mattered was the one between hip hop and metal, and I'm sorry to say we lost. Whoever won, I think we won. That's like the opposite of Alien versus Predator. They say whoever wins, we lose. Whoever wins, we win. Hip hop and metal are both great. I guess hip hop probably won, considering it's like the new rock and roll. And metal was always just rock and roll anyway, but just better. Or intense, more intense. So we win. I think we win. But yeah, I mean, I think I object to this idea that there is some sort of naturalistic morality where it's like there are opinions, Democrats have these are created topics to be divisive, to get you to ignore political ideology. There is lots of pro-trans fascists. Like, there are lots. There are a lot of pro-trans people, pro-trans techno-feudalists, right? Like, the culture war is nothing. That doesn't mean anything. Like, if you are not pro the abolition of systems that oppress queer and black and Native American people, Indian people, however they want to say it, then that's the only war. It's all a mirage.
News publications, they're already using the right pronouns. They're saying Elliot, and it's great, And part of this is just a gloating thing because it really does feel like the tide of history moves progressive with time.
Wasn't this guy just saying that, like, trans people were, like, making the left look bad, like, last year or something? Well, how you gloating? I mean, like, look, if this guy wants to say, oh, I learned, I've changed, and this is great. I get to see, I get to experience one of the first large, uh, big celebrities coming out as transgender. Like, you know, there's been some people who've come out as transgender in the past decade that were big. Laura Jane Grace. I was talking about this with Jeremy on Generation Loss. You know, there that was big for a lot of people. Lots of people who were into punk music were like, "Wow, that's crazy." Um, but I don't. I mean, that she's a very niche artist. Um, you know, Elliot Page is a huge Oscar-nominated actor. Um, and it's big. It's a big deal culturally. I will admit that. But the idea that this has anything like the idea that he is going to be gloating when he was just saying that like trans people make the left look bad because of their bad opinions or whatever. Just like from what I understand, like 1 to 2 years ago. Well, how can you gloat? How can you
Take
gloat?
a look at the past 300 years. Just take the United States of America. So let's just say 250 years, okay?
Hasn't been 300.
Though economically, we have our back and forths. When it comes to identity-based issues, race, gender, sexuality, things seem to keep getting better fairly consistently. It feels like fighting against that trend is sort of like a waste of time, Like,
I mean,
like
yeah, but
the Jordan Peterson types, like they account for. How do you do JP's voice? How do you do it? I would rather go to prison than be forced to use these Marxist pronouns. You cannot. Forced speech is the beginning of compelled language, which is a dictatorial tendency. Something like that, You can hem and haw all you want. Whether you like it or not, 2 generations from now, all your motherfucking grandkids are going to be saying they, them, she, whatever. They're going to say whatever the hell they want,
Sure.
The stigma that gets carried along with these issues. Same a little while ago, by the way, with gay folk. Before, common discourse was that gay people were predatory and disgusting and so on and so forth.
You said
there
that.
There are still people who believe that today, sure. But most people?
How much you want to bet I could find his
most
tweets from like
here in America,
2006?
Pretty accepted. It's not perfect, but it's getting better. Same with trans people. And down the line, we'll find other niche issues to argue about, like, what's going to be the next like big culture war target after trans people, right? Because there are a ton of people on the right who seem to believe that the existence of trans people represents some kind of existential threat to the West, which is ridiculous. If you actually cared about Western values, what you're really talking about fundamentally are Enlightenment values. And Enlightenment values are rooted
Jordan
in things
B. Peterson?
like
I don't know. It's more like a little Kermit the Frog. I think Vaush is kind of a dumb idiot. I don't know. A little Kermit the Frog here. That's my Jordan Peterson. What's Steven Pinker? In that he's just like, I'm not a child molester.
Expression and freedom from outside coercion. And while I don't think we always do a great job following through on those values, to be transgender or to reject your assigned gender identity is the purest expression of individual will. There is nothing to me more cucked than feeling intently that there's something wrong with your presentation or with your identity and then shoveling it down inside of yourself because it's wrong to go against traditional social
He's calling being closeted.
Of course,
being
everyone
cucked.
struggles with those feelings. I remember back when I first realized I was attracted to men that I was, it was a
on
little
earth?
weird at first, but what are you going to do, right? Social conventions. Of course, it's wrong to go against traditional social conventions. Of course, everyone struggles with those feelings. I remember back when I first realized I was attracted to men that I was, it was a little weird at first, but what are you going to do, right?
I didn't know he was bi.
It is pretty cucked to stay locked in those feelings. Some people have to because
gay? Is he
really
gay?
Fucked social situations, like especially if you're like, really young and like your parents maybe not.
Wait, is Vaush a soy boy or an edgelord?
But what I'm really talking about here is like the broader cultural argument, the broader problem, and it looks like things are getting better. I wish Elliot.
This is so fucking annoying. Like who? whatever. Pan and buy is the same shit. Like, I mean, like, why is he? This isn't edgy. Why do people say he's edgy? He's just like saying like liberal shit. I don't know what his politics are. I mean, can he even? Is Obama right? Because he is literally like supported Biden, right? Maybe he's just joking around. What is the fucking deal? And it's funny because I feel like a part of the tactic of these kinds of people is being incoherent, you know? Like can't build an argument against this guy if he is constantly contradicting himself. Excuse me. God, he posts so much. If Biden wins, copium. Was at Occupy in 13 or 12 or whenever it was. No, 2011, right? 11 or 12. I can't remember. It was cold. I believe you. I mean, libertarian socialist sounds right. I mean, I think he's basically an ANCAP. I mean, he might think he's some sort of socialist, but I don't think he really understands it. I'd love to talk to him about it because I think I don't know. Watching his videos, it seems like he's kind of one of these guys with like good intentions, but like is just a dickhead and like refuses to be like wrong. That's been my sense. But he likes to debate. I'd like to debate. I like to debate. I mean, one of the reasons I started this thing is because I like to debate. I like to argue with people, and I've been very revved up about arguing. But no one wants to argue with me. People are all very scared. I'm also just not famous. I don't have this much kind of clout as anybody. So like, oh, she talked with ContraPoints. Oh my God, it's 2 hours long. Holy
My channel
shit.
growth, and then I look at like some of the makeup channels, and these people, so they're like 10 million, and they do like nothing compared to what we do. We work hard for our sliver of the pie, you know.
Well, guys, I do the makeup, and then I do the.
Oh my God, 2 hours of libs. Just fucking having no idea. This debate restored my faith in politics. Which one? What would I say?
What's up, my friend? What's your contention? What political disagreements do you think we have?
Oh, here we go.
Well, I think we disagree. Most likely, I mean, I've listened to you before. Like, I'm not 100% sure.
I
Like,
should
where
probably
you stand.
listen to him a
But,
little
like,
bit.
I know you're liberal, right? So I'm like, I think we have different views on BLM.
He's liberal. I bet Vaush is
what
gonna
else?
say no. He's
I mean, we could start with. Or are you pro-choice or?
I am pro-choice, yeah.
All right, so yeah, we have a disagreement on that too.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So.
I'm quite a bit further left than liberal, but I guess when it comes to BLM, I would probably share the opinions of most liberals. Do you not like BLM?
I mean, I don't exactly agree with it. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't.
He
Really
debates
like
random
BLM.
guys on the phone.
What
Who
do you
is this
disagree
person?
with?
Just like, so I've seen like all the riots and stuff. I don't 100% agree with that. So.
Well,
I
sure,
mean,
but
I understand where they're coming from, but like I just.
Is
Yeah,
he
I
playing
don't see
Dark
like
Souls
why.
or
What's the
Bloodborne?
point of destroying cities and burning them down?
well, the riots are. I mean, no cities are being destroyed. It's usually if there is a riot, it's a very small, contained thing.
That's honestly
but the
pretty
vast
funny
majority
to
of BLM
like
isn't
debate
rioting.
somebody
It's
and
protesting.
and be playing Bloodborne. Just like an incredibly intense game that requires a lot of concentration and be like, it's kind of a big dicked move. I get why people.
I mean,
like
I
that.
agree. Yeah, obviously, I agree with the protest because like that's the way that they're gonna get their voices.
Does he agree? This is okay.
Yeah,
I love to debate
Was it
complete
supposed
morons.
to stop?
A complete moron who has no idea what I think and no idea what they think restored my faith in politics. Come on now. Show me some. All right, look, people are seeming to enjoy this content, but I've got to go to the bathroom again. I've been doing this for a little while. So, find me, please, some like actual political statements that Vaush has made. This is my if you like me talking about this and you like me sort of arguing about this kind of stuff, fashion versus liberalism. This seems like I would love to hear what he has to say about this. But I'm gonna go. So please find me something and tweet it at me, DM me or just tweet it at me, and then I'll watch them, and then I'll watch them on stream, maybe tomorrow or sometime in the week. Also, if you care about this show at all, you care about me streaming, let me know when I should do it. Sometimes I take whole weeks off, but I know it's just for fun. You can watch us later. Yeah, exactly. Someone says I couldn't do it. I'd be in the middle of a thought and just break down. Well, if you look at the manifest, fuck this boss, got him. Yeah, no, I could. It's funny. I have a show called Left Trigger where I play video games, and it's incredibly difficult to even say anything halfway intelligent or funny. While playing games that are even the slightest bit challenging. So, shout out to him for that at least. But yeah, I'll finish the vinyl collection eventually. Sorry, it's been a long time. Thanks for watching, everybody. And thanks for King Teef. King Teef suggested I do that ideology test. And that was a lot of fun. If you